Be looking at what is happening at the Wimbledon, the third Grand Slam of the year. A lot of surprising results. Russia's Maria Kirilenko, the 10th seed, she's been defeated by Britain's Laura Robson. And of course, Germany's Philipp Kohlschreiber is out as well. So we'll talk about some of those, well, can't call it upsets, but some of the surprises. We'll talk about it later on the show. Well, Coach Stephen Keshi, it's not dwelling on what has happened in the Confederations Cup. He has invited 24 players to camp for the CHAN Qualifier. We will talk about that. We'll talk about Nigeria Professional Football League, a new logo, some round of 64 results in the Federation Cup. We will talk about that as well on the show. As you already know, the FIFA Under 20 World Cup is currently going on in Turkey. Some matches were played today, and of course, we'll look at all the results, look at what will happen tomorrow. Some matches will be played tomorrow as well. Well, as you would expect at this time of the season, a lot of transfer speculations, a lot of done deals. Even coaches are not left out. They're moving from one club to the other. So we will talk about the coaches that have moved and the ones that are likely going to move. And of course, the ones that will stay put where they are. We'll talk about all of that. And of course, towards the tail end of the show, we will spare some time to talk about boxing. The money man, Floyd Mayweather, is in the news again. He's going to be fighting. And of course, we will talk about him and his opponent and what is likely going to be the outcome of the bout when it takes place on September the 14th. That's the outlook of the show tonight. And I'm not alone on the show. Let me quickly introduce my partners on the show tonight. I have Tokumbo Ademola and Dunodi Okunta with me. Let me quickly welcome you guys to the show.
Yeah, good evening. Nice being here.
Nodi?
Good evening, Yemi.
All right, let's go on a break now. When we come back, we'll look at the list that has just been released by Coach Stephen Keshi, 24 players called to camp. We'll look at that and more for you on Sports Tonight.
At first, it's only anticipation that something is about to happen. This is one thing that makes life interesting. To compete not only with players across the field, but across the world. It makes me feel joy when we win and sorrow when we lose. The action and reaction colliding, falling, dropping, despite the odds. I love it because it brings me tears. Tears of victory, tears of joy. The skill that leads to the pass that leads to the shot that leads to the goal that determines the ultimate. Channel Sports, defining the moment of true sport.
Okay, welcome back. And if you're just joining us, this is Sports Tonight. And of course, on the show tonight, we'll be discussing Super Eagles. We're not talking about Confederations Cup. That is over. We've put that behind us. But today we're talking about the Cup of Nations for players based, plying their trade on the African continent. So Coach Stephen Keshi has released a list of 24 players. Before the list comes up, let me quickly allow you guys talk about it. We have 24 players, 10 from the squad that were in Brazil with him, 14 new call-ups. And that's it on your screen. But before we look at the list, any surprises for you in the list?
No surprises, but let me just say a few. Maybe I'll just pick just one player who should have gotten a look in. If just a look in quotes, Rabi Ali, Kano Pillars midfielder, at least the most outstanding player for Kano Pillars over the last 5 years. And still the highest goal scorer in Kano Pillars. He's not a striker, but he's the midfielder, but brilliant footballer in the midfield. So much skills. We saw that, of course, some of us who are not close to seeing him, for the Lagos fans, they saw him in the Federation Cup last year. They saw the way he picked Kano Pillars, he held Kano Pillars together, even getting them straight into the semi-final of the Federation Cup. But it's not, this is at least, I thought he would have gotten a look in. But when
especially when you have just 5 midfielders in that squad.
Yes, when the list came out, just discovered that one player is still missing again. I don't know what's happening to this situation, but I don't want to put this list because it's just the list for the home-base players, because we can't bring the entire home-base players into this team.
Can't avoid the good players. Tokes, I don't know if you disagree with Nodi about the list. To you, is it okay? No surprise exclusions?
Like you said, I'm not disagreeing with the list. For me, the list is okay. But like I said, Rabiu Ali, fantastic player, who ought to be in the team, but wasn't also in the team. And also, I thought that maybe person like Mutu Adegoke of Tres is supposed to be in that team, but the coach knows the best.
That's why he is the coach.
Yeah, that's why he's the coach. But the surprising thing for me is the two players from the NNL. That's talking about Pius and Samson from what's it called? From Ranch Beast, and also the other player from Union Bank. So I think it's a good list, and I believe these guys are going to do it for him.
Okay, let's look at the Super Eagles squad for the CHAN qualifier, and let's start with the goalkeepers now. Well, Chigozia Agbim and Daniel Akwe, that's the two goalkeepers in the squad. For the defenders, Asubike, a lot of familiar names here. Asubike Egweke, Benjamin Francis, Godfrey Obabono, Kunle Odunlami, Ezekiel Bassi, Umar Zango, Solomon Kwambe, Chibuzo Okonkwo. For the midfielders, you have Sunday Mba, Ayo Saka, Emeka Eze, Olufemi Oladapo, former under 20 international, and Mohamed Jia. All right. For the forwards, the strikers, you have Mohamed Gambo, Gomo Onduku, Obina Nwachukwu, Ifeanyi Ede, Antonio Putu, Pius Samson, Festus Aja, Ogene Karo Etebo, and Delio Olorunda, who has been painting the league with goals. And some of these names we hear it week in, week out. I don't think there's anybody on that list that I've not read something good about in the last 3 weeks. And for me, I think, apart of one or two names that you guys have mentioned, I think I'm satisfied with what I've seen.
It's a crack squad. Obviously, it's a crack squad where you have the top scorers in the domestic scene on this league.
And that's what you've always clamored for.
That would have been one of those a bit surprising if along that way.
Didn't make it.
Because he didn't make the list. And Ogene Karo Etebo, yes, of course, one of the top scorers too in the domestic scene, still part of the league. And the guys that went to Brazil, some of them didn't play at the end of the day, but they had a few experiences in Brazil, still intact. And some who had been part of the setup right from under CSA, were still back in the team.
Like
so I think it's a crack squad, and I hope the help builds from Stephen Keshi to bring these guys together so that people will say, yes, we still have a standing home-based team that can still play anytime, any day for the Super Eagles. So, talking about this team, this is also an opportunity for these guys to prove to the whole Nigerian that we are not just
good enough to be in the team.
To be in the main team.
Yes.
And of course, playing against their like on the continent, we can still hold our own. Because the biggest challenge is that we've not qualified for the CHAN. The first edition, it was Ghana. Second edition was Niger Republic. Now we are having the Ivorians in.
All right, let's really talk about Tooks. Let's talk about our route to this. There's a way we would have to pass through to get to. It's not just going to be easy. Standing in our way now is Côte d'Ivoire.
Yeah, though standing in our way right now is Côte d'Ivoire. We know Côte d'Ivoire for the kind of team they have. Do they have a
well-established clubs, Africa Sports, ASEC Mimosa,
and they also have wonderful players that do player trades in different parts of Africa also in that team. But for me, I believe that Stephen Keshi has given most of these guys a good platform whereby they will be able to showcase themselves. We saw some of them in the Confederations Cup. We saw some of them in African Cup of Nations
regulars
Cup.
And
exactly, and I believe the 10 guys that went with him to the Confederations Cup, they've already known the kind of tactics of which he's going to be using in when the CHAN is going to start. And let's not forget that some of these players that went to Germany, that were in the camp in Germany, some of them were dropped, and he recalled back.
Like Nodi said, they've been part of the setup.
So they'll be part of the setup, and they already know the kind of tactics he's going to use, the kind of style they're going to play, and how it works. So they understand it very well. So I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Let me quickly ask Nodi, because surely we have to leave this issue, but do we have any edge over our African counterparts? Because I don't want to start getting carried away with what some of these boys have shown in recent times. But in comparison, Ghana, Senegal, Burkina Faso, our peers in the West African region, or Africa generally, shoulder to shoulder, are we heads? Are we above them?
Talking about African football at this level, we can't say we have any edge over West Africa, because when the Nigerians came 2 years ago, we said it was Niger. But we failed to realize that we are not bringing our foreign-based player into this whole thing.